All right, we are live. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's having a great day today. My name is Andrew Messia, and this is the Medellin Buzz Live Show. It is January 9th, 2026. It is 6:03 p.m. It is Friday evening. The sun has gone down, or it's going down here in Medellin. It was kind of a gloomy day today. Hope everyone's having a great day today, or had a great day and is having a great afternoon. Oh, I totally forgot. Oh, I do have some water. I forgot to top off my water over here. But today we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about Medellin and Colombia's current situation in regards to what's been in the news. We're also going to be talking about why Medellin is now a top destination, not just for tourism. I mean, it was already a top destination last year for tourism, but this year it's going to be a top destination for people that want to actually relocate, whether it's partially or part-time and or permanently. So let me welcome some of you here that have typed in the chat. What's up, Jason? How's it going? Hope you're having a good day or good afternoon. DP5, buenas tardes, ¿cómo estás? Donald Blair says, hello from America that lives, from an American that lives in Turkey. What's up? What time is it in Turkey? It's probably 6-hour difference, right? Ronald, what's up, Ronald? How you doing? Buck Travel says, salute. Jason says, I'm just watching from Margarita Robledo. Nice. Across town. Alejandro, what's up, Alejandro? Alan says, you do a fantastic job of revealing the real Medellin to the rest of the world. Thank you. I appreciate that. Justin says, hola. Hola, Justin. Wick says, love the plant. I've got 3 here. They're not real. I used to have real plants in here, but it was hard to keep them up because I do have like the blackout curtains and it was hard to keep them alive. I'd have to put them in the what do you call it? In one of the balconies and then bring them over here. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get fake ones. I'll leave the real ones out front. What's up? American Paisa says, hello, just moved to Cali. What's up, American Paisa? My name is Andrew. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live show. Spirit says, hello and welcome from Jersey to Channel Islands. Nice. W4L says, hey, from Chicago, dreaming of Envigado. I do like Envigado a lot. Lily says, hi from Florida. Hi, Lily. Justin says, moved from New Zealand to Medellin 3 years ago. Loving Medellin. You guys are lucky to have this city. Thank you. I do feel lucky. Justin says, Medellin is has so much greenery. Yes, it does. And every day, I've been more focused on enjoying my environment because now that I'm doing these videos, I get to look back as I'm editing the video and I'm like, man, I didn't notice that tree before. I just walk by it every single day. Or, hey, I didn't notice that this is where the squirrels eat every day. Now that I'm editing, I do notice it more as I walk through. So thank you guys for joining. If you're watching the live version, you can hit the thumbs up button. If you're watching the recorded version later, you can also hit the thumbs up button, leave comments. And if you're watching the live version, you can message here on the chat and I'll answer any of your questions. I'll try to get to everybody. But today we're talking about why Medellin is a top destination for 2026, not just for tourism, but for actual expats, for retirees, for families, for single people, for anybody that wants a better or a lifestyle upgrade from where they're living. They will have it in Medellin, even though there have been some changes, including things have gotten more expensive because there is, and it's going to become a little bit more expensive. Regardless, it's still affordable for most people that are living in developed countries like the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, parts of Europe, etc. So let's talk about 2025 first of all, before we get into 2026. How did 2025 end? Medellin saw a boom in international visitors, up an estimated 17.2% in 2025 compared to 2024. Colombia, the country, welcomed a record 7 million foreign tourists last year. That's 17% higher than 2024. And I'm willing to bet that 2026 will continue to uptick. It'll beat out 2025. So I'm very much looking forward to that because obviously I love this city and I love people discovering the city. And on top of that, I have a vested interest because I do have a couple of businesses that cater to foreigners, including a real estate company called the Medellin Living Real Estate Company. You can check out the website, MedellinLivingRealEstate.com. And I also have a relocation business called the MedellinMasterclass.com. There's link in the description, or there are links in the description below to both of those places. One to the Medellin Living Real Estate Forum if you're ready to buy within the next 60 days. If you just want to browse properties, you could just go to the homepage and browse them. But if you're ready to buy within the next 60 days and you want to work with us, we are the best company to work with when it comes to buying property in Medellin as a foreigner. We help you and walk you through the whole process. And on top of that, if you didn't know, the seller pays commissions. So we get paid by the sellers, not by you guys, the buyers. So that's a perk. We're basically working for you for free in order to help sell a property for a seller who is going to pay us. Just want to be very transparent with that. And if you're looking to relocate, there's also the Medellin Masterclass.com webinar in the description below. And if you are looking for a paid consultation with me, if it's something urgent, you have a ton of questions. I used to do free consultations, but now I get so many inquiries that I just can't do that. Otherwise, I'd just be working for free the whole time. There's a link to that. And I do once a month a free Zoom call with people that are serious about moving to Medellin, buying property, maybe starting a business, that have in-depth questions. I do a free Zoom call for 20 people. The next one's going to be on the first Tuesday of February. We already did the January one, but you can sign up for that. There's a link in the description. It's my way of giving back to you, the community that watches me. So thank you. Chaz, what's up, Chaz? Hope you're having a good day. Okay, so let's talk about safety in Medellin. How did 2025 end? Violent crimes had an uptick in Medellin in 2025. We had about 325 homicides in 2025, which is about a 5% increase compared to 2024. Many of those violent murders or homicides were tied to local disputes and gang-related rather than organized crime. On the other hand, street thefts saw a minor decline, according to police data, suggesting petty crime is being kept in check, even as murders saw a small uptick. Expats should still use big city common sense, which watch out for pickpocketers, avoid sketchy areas at night mostly. But overall, security has vastly improved over the decades. Medellin's most touristic areas are well policed, as you know. If you've been here before, you know that Provenza, Barrio Manila, and Parque Lleras and Parque del Poblado are well policed. The same with La Setenta. Areas away from El Poblado that are touristy are pretty well policed. And I haven't seen much since like the middle of last year. I didn't see a lot of headlines involving robberies and foreigners like on the street. I think the police have done a really good job, and the current mayor, Federico, on policing and putting up cameras everywhere to catch people that try to rob people anywhere in the city. It's been noticeable. I do feel safer. As you can see, I walk out and I do my vlog videos pretty much every single day, sometimes in the evening. I've done a couple at night, and you can see that there's really, I do it without a care because I know that I'm safe. Whereas 15 years ago, I probably wouldn't be doing that. For one, I was new to the city and I didn't know where I was. And on top of that, it was more dangerous back then. Now it seems like I get the sense it's probably because I've lived here for longer. I've been here about going on 16 years. That coupled with the fact that it has gotten safer, I know where to go. I know how to, where to take my cell phone out and where I'm going to be safe. I wouldn't be doing it in a barrio that I don't know, like a low-income neighborhood that I don't know. And, I wouldn't do that just because I'm not an idiot. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not an idiot. Okay, so we've had a decline in street thefts in 2025, which is good. And we even had in 2025 a period of 145 days with no murders. I remember that was like a big news story this last year in 2025, that there was 145 days with no homicides, which is kind of big for Medellin, where you have you have a lot of tension in very low income neighborhoods on the outskirts of the city that vie for the micro traffic or the micro narco traffic trade, which is, drug sales within the city, extortions, etc. So they vie for power. Whenever someone gets caught, like a head of a gang from a barrio gets caught, there's other people that vie for power, and then there'll be violence. But we don't feel that. At least I don't, because I live in El Poblado. And if you live pretty much anywhere in a Estrato 5 or 6 neighborhood, you're pretty far removed. It's like living in Chicago and in a suburb. What happens in South Side Chicago is not really going to affect you. Same with parts of Louisiana, Baltimore, even Los Angeles, New York, etc. So it really, most people that come down here that are expats or immigrants from another country that have a higher currency or a stronger currency than the peso, they're not going to opt to live in a barrio where there's gang activity. It's like, it's not like you're a poor immigrant going into the United States where you have to live in a poor neighborhood. I mean, I had to do that 16 years ago or 15 and a half years ago or so. When I first got here in 2010, I had to do that because I had no money. I had just been deported, had zero money. I had to roommate in low-income neighborhoods with people. But I picked and chose the neighborhoods that had no gangs and no local combos. They call them combos here. So I was very diligent about that. And I was like, okay, I know that this neighborhood is a good neighborhood, safe. It's lower income, but there are no local combos. There's no extortion going on to local shops or local street vendors, etc. And that's easy to find out once first of all, you should speak Spanish. If you're going to be living here long term, you should have a level of Spanish. If not, then have someone that's helping you go through that. But you wouldn't have a problem if you do have some money, if you're coming from the United States, etc. Tom Gregory says, love the videos, Andrew. My wife is from Colombia, and we're considering having a plan B in Medellin. If only she is currently a citizen, does that complicate the buying process? If only she is currently a citizen, does that complicate the buying process? No. Anybody could buy a property here. You could buy it under your name if you wanted to alone, just with your passport. You don't need a local ID. Anybody could buy a property in Colombia, and you own title to it. You're not just like leasing it from the government like in some countries like Mexico, where you get like a 99-year lease. Here you actually own the property. Medellin is fantastic, says Alan. It's a fantastic place to have dental work done for about 20% of the U.S. cost. Yeah, 20% of the U.S. cost is nuts. I interviewed a dentist. I haven't put up that video yet, but I interviewed him about his business, and basically to get veneers done, it costs $5,000, and that includes the hotel room and follow-up checkups and everything for about a month. It's crazy. It's crazy, the value. And the work is really good. Don says, hello from Ocala. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. In Florida, ¿qué tal? Ches says, shouldn't that be Plan M, Plan Medellin? Hi from North Carolina. Appreciate you and your content. Thanks, JD. Hope you're having a great evening. Tio says, how complicated it is to register an investment payment at the National Bank? It's not very complicated. It's just literally one form. But your lawyer should be helping you with that. Yeah, work with a lawyer. Don't expect to do it yourself, because everything's going to be in Spanish. I speak Spanish, and I still wouldn't do it on my own. I'd rather have Juliana, my lawyer. If you do intend to work with us, you'll have access to Juliana Agudelo, who is our attorney, and she is probably the best not only best attorney, but the best person I've ever worked with in Colombia as a whole in any regard, because she did go to the I think she studied part of her career in the United States, so her English is impeccable, and obviously she's from here and graduated as a lawyer from here as well. So she knows both cultures, and she's on it, bro. It's like unreal. Hey, thank you so much for the donation, AJR. Honestly, how do you stay faithful to your wife with all the beautiful women? I have a lot of friends here that are married, and I ask myself the same question. I'm not married. I don't have a wife. I have a baby, and we're not together. But it's not because of all the beautiful women. It's because I like to be single. I like to have my space. I'm not in love. It's a whole other complication. But it's not really complicated. It's pretty straightforward. But yeah, I get it. I go to the gym every single day, pretty much every single day except for Sundays. And sometimes Saturdays when I take off, but it ceases to amaze me even after 15 plus years of living in Medellin. And on top of that, it makes you calloused, I think, to beauty, because and it's evident. A lot of guys, the same thing happens out here with the Colombian local guys. You know, they see they're raised around beautiful women, and you're callous to it, and the time that I do notice it is when I leave Medellin. I'm like, holy crap, Medellin is just on a whole other level. It's like, what are they eating over there? What's up? JJ says, peace and prosperity for U.S., Colombia, and Venezuela. Let's make some money. I agree with that for sure. Okay, so 2025 travel trends in Medellin or in Colombia as a whole picked up. We had a 17% increase in tourism in 2025, despite having what some people call our president a communist, a socialist, an ex-guerrilla member, etc. Yes, he does have aspects of that, but that shouldn't be how you identify him. Identify him for what he has done so far, I think, as a president. And even though I don't agree with some of his policies, and I don't lean left or socialist or capital or communist, I'm a capitalist. I do agree that he's done a fair job. He's done a good job of managing the economy, managing the view of Colombia on the global scale, and that has helped. On top of that, you also have to consider that this growth in Colombia and Medellin hasn't just been because of him. It's because of decades of work that the country and the city has done. And now we're seeing the fruits of everyone's labor from the past decades to make Colombia safer, to make it more attractive for travelers, and now making it even more attractive for people that want to live here. And that's a whole other thing that the city and the city, Medellin, is going to have to tackle, because we are getting people now that want to live here, not just visit, but they want to live here. We've got a lot of visitors. We've had almost 2 million visitors in 2025 to the city. But out of those almost 2 million, it's like 1.8 million visitors to the city. A lot of them do want to stay here, and not all of them are going to stay here long term, obviously, to live forever. But a lot of them want to buy a property or have rent an apartment for a year and go back to the U.S. and come back. Go back and share their time with whether it's the U.S., Canada, or Europe, or wherever it is. It's mostly U.S. and Canada, obviously, but we do have some people that come from Puerto Rico, people that come from Costa Rica. We just sold a property, a penthouse, for almost $500,000 to someone in from Costa Rica. Same with Mexico. We've had clients from Mexico and that want to relocate here part-time. They still work and have careers in Mexico, make really good money, and they want to come down here and have not a plan B. I think the whole plan B thing is completely different. I don't think we should look at it that way, that Colombia is a plan B to a deteriorating empire of the United States, because that's not true. The United States is not going anywhere. The United States has problems, yes, but it's still a great country to reside in and a great country to make money in. But I think people now are, because of the internet, because of YouTube, because of channels like The Nomad Capitalist with Andrew Graham. I think that's his last name. But anyway, channels like that where people are realizing that, okay, I don't need a plan B. I just need to diversify not only my portfolio of investments, but also diversify my time and my life for my own happiness. And I think Medellin offers that because it has gotten safer. Obviously, it's more affordable, even though it's gotten more expensive over the decades of tourism, and now it's booming. It has gotten more expensive. It's still way more affordable than buying property or diversifying in some other first world or developed nations. And it could be a pretty safe investment. If you don't know, then you don't know, and that's why you're watching this channel, so that I could show you why it's a safe investment. Okay, so let's talk about, so we talked about record tourism, safety trends. Obviously, I mentioned that homicide rate went up last year, but that doesn't affect us as regular Colombian people even, and less for foreigners. One thing to note is that you still have to be aware of, if you're watching this channel, you probably watch other channels about Medellin. I don't do a lot of videos about Escopolamina and foreigners getting drugged and robbed and at times getting overdosed and dying. That I don't do those videos because there are so many out there, and I hope that the people that watch my channel are serious about visiting Medellin, about doing business in Medellin, investing in Medellin, living either part-time or full-time. And those people will know that I don't need to get on dating apps in Medellin. I'm not going to be there for a weekend bachelor party trying to hook up with as many girls as possible and pay them, pay for play. If you're doing that, you run the risk of getting drugged and robbed, especially if you don't know the culture, if you don't speak the language. I wouldn't do that anywhere else in the world, even if I know the language, let alone coming to a developing country where the minimum wage is $400 or around $400. It went up from $300 to $400 a month, where that's the minimum wage, and people are starving, right? There are people that are starving, even within the city, that are going hungry tonight. And we're talking about children, we're talking about young women, men. So you have to keep that in mind. You have to be smart. Just because you land in Medellin or in Rio Negro and you drive into Medellin, into El Poblado, and it looks like a developed city, all you got to do is go 15 minutes north, east, or south, and you can be in some really rough neighborhoods where people are literally dirt poor. So just keep that in mind. Don't come out here trying to get cheap and quick hookups with women on dating apps, because the people that have that have had those negative situations happen to them are all men, and they're mostly middle-aged men. It's not even young men. It's mostly middle-aged men, if not over middle age, that are desperate for female attention, and it's just a bad situation. So don't do that here. And if you want more information, there are a ton of other channels like DC Born Rob that do a great job on reporting all of that information, and go watch that. Hey, Squishy Plum, thank you for the $2 donation. He says, hello, hola. How's it going? Hope you're having a good day. Michael P says, Andrew, ¿cómo estás? I was originally thinking to get pensionado visa coming from the U.S., but after the recent 23% increase of the minimum wage, I'm calculating that I won't qualify for 5 years. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so you're going to have to look at something different, I guess. Caesar, what's up, Caesar? We'll be playing Fortnite here in about an hour once I'm done here. Hold tight. Perfect Pet says, Perfect Petals says, just left Medellin yesterday and back in the TBE states. It was like leaving heaven to come back to chaos. The people are loving and kind. I'm definitely buying property there. Well, I'll be here, and there's a link in the description below to a form. It's always in every single video. So whenever you're ready, just click on that, fill it out, and then we'll add you to WhatsApp and start talking to you and helping you out. Okay, J-Mac says, any thoughts on the house apartments near Suramericana in La Estrella? Near Suramericana in La Estrella. No, we don't do La Estrella. We don't sell properties out there. Obviously, I know La Estrella, and I think it's a great neighborhood or a great little town. I wouldn't live in it because it's too far for me. The rental income is probably going to be lower. The ROI is probably going to be lower because it's away and it's not something that people search for on Airbnb. But but all investment comes down to what you buy it at. If you get something for $50,000 in La Estrella that you can rent out for, $1,000 or $1,500 a month, that's a good return on investment, even at a 70% occupancy rate or a 60% occupancy rate. So it all comes down to what you buy it at and how you do the marketing and how you manage it. If you have a managing company for doing it for you, a property management company, for 15%, they're not going to do any marketing. They're just going to be getting the people that they're just going to be greeting, acting as hosts for you, and probably coordinating the cleaning lady to go, getting things fixed if something breaks. But they're not going to actively do videos, pictures, Instagram and Facebook posts to actively market your property for 15%. You're going to have to pay more than that, and then you're going to have to figure out your ROI. So it's something that we do for our clients when they buy properties, etc. DJ says dollar rate needs to get past 4K again. No, DJ, you need to get more money. Don't hope for the market to give you more money. Hope to be more valuable in the market so that you make more money and you never have to worry about exchange rates. It's something that I've learned from my mentors. I don't care about exchange rates anymore. I only care about how much money I'm making every single month. And every year I intend to make more passively and actively through my businesses and my investments. So that's just a little advice that's because I had the same frame of thought before. It's the easiest to wish for things to get better. It's harder to wish to be better. Jake Jarocho says, I bought an apartment and got a 3-year visa. Nice. Congratulations. 3 years is rare, bro. Good job. You must have had a good lawyer, and on top of that, somebody in processing your visa that was in a really great mood. I would buy a bit more expensive, so I'm covered for the 5 years. I need it before moving into residency. I would buy a bit more. Oh, okay. I get. Is that advice for somebody? Yeah. Yeah, you always want to be above the minimum requirement and calculate for inflation or at least increases in the future when you need to renew that visa. But yeah, your lawyer must be good if you got that 3-year visa. J-Max says, thanks, no worries. Charles says, have you been to Cali before? I'm trying to decide between Cali and Medellin. Yeah, I've always said that if Medellin didn't exist, I would live in Cali. I love Cali. I love the people. I love the culture. Love the weather. It's very similar to Southern California weather. It's hotter. It's like it's more of a stinging sun instead of a humid heat in Medellin. I don't know if that makes sense. It's drier. It's a drier air, so it feels hotter. I do love Cali. The reason I don't live there and I chose Medellin is because Medellin is a bigger city. It's got better infrastructure, better public transportation, less corrupt government. If you know anything about the governments of the states in Colombia, the state of Antioquia has always been, or predominantly been, conservative government. That's why it's probably the best state in the country. And that's not me being like a territorial person or trying to be better than anybody else. It's just a proven fact that Antioquia as a whole has been run a lot better than the other states, including the capital. If you go to Bogota and if you go to the cities in that state, you'll notice the difference between the cities in the state of Antioquia. It's just, even though there's corruption, it's like they show it less, kind of like in the United States. There's corruption in the United States, but they use a lot of the money to make it look nice, at least, right? Paved roads, sidewalks with less holes than there are in Bogota or in other major cities. In Cali, I remember seeing bridges that just weren't built, and I was like, "Oh, they're building a bridge." No, that was 5 years ago. They just stole the money and nobody finished the bridge, and maybe they'll finish it someday. That's the problem with cities like Cali and others in Colombia and in South America, unfortunately. What's up? Lil says, you are the GOAT, bro. Thanks. Charles says, I'm traveling with three dogs from the USA, moving to either Medellin or Cali. How are apartments with dogs? Colombia as a whole is a very pet-friendly country. Medellin is very pet-friendly. I've actually never been to an apartment. We sell a lot of apartments. I've never been to an apartment building that didn't allow dogs. Yeah, I've never seen that in Medellin. Hey, Jay Ducky, thanks for the $5 dono. Appreciate it, man. Give you a little heart there. Thanks, brother. Or sister. I don't know. You might be whatever. Michael says, oh, you're responding there. Have you been to Pereira? Says JD Lucky, sorry. Instead of Ducky, it's JD Lucky says, have you been to Pereira? I'm trying to choose between Medellin or Pereira to purchase and then rent out. Yeah, I've been to Pereira. And the reason I don't live in Pereira is because it's too small of a city for me, from my personal preference. I do have friends that live in Pereira and that have bought properties in Pereira, and they like it. I don't know what the rental market is there. I'm assuming that it's less of it's less touristy. Obviously, it's way less touristy than Medellin, so the demand is probably lower. But that could also mean that your competition will be way less. So if you've got if you're catering, let's say, to high-end travelers, you buy a property for $60,000, put 40 or 50 into it, make it look really, really nice, 2-bedroom. You could probably charge, $1,500 to $2,000 a month and have no competition or very little competition for that high-end market. I've always said the riches are in the niches. If you can niche the high-end market in a market where there is a demand but there's no supply, you just have to do market research. Yeah, so Charles says, thanks for that insight. He's going to do 3 months in Cali and 3 months in Medellin, then decide I'm going to, the Afro-Latino Festival in Cali. Nice. Oh, I've been to that. It's super fun. Same with the salsa, the end of the year festival that Cali does. It's like a salsa festival. Super awesome. I've been to that a couple times. It's super fun. JD is good. All right. Pereira rules, says Chess. Yes, it does. I loved going to Pereira, but I can do everything there is to do in Pereira on a weekend. In Medellin, you'd need maybe a month to really get a feel for the city. In Pereira, a week is enough, and I've done everything, and I'm like, okay, what else can I do here? I'm bringing my 32-kilo GSD, so I'm hoping big dogs. Oh, what is a GSD? It's a type of dog. I just can't think of what it is. I'm not a dog guy. I don't own dogs. I hope big dogs aren't a problem. No, there are some dogs that have problems here. I think it's only like pit bulls. But yeah, you definitely want to check and maybe contact someone like nexo.legal or the Medellin helper. All you got to do is Google that and you'll find their contact. For the Pensionada visa, will a combo of large investment and monthly income work? I don't think so. It's got to be one or the other. Actually, Cerritos is very touristy, just 20 minutes west of Pereira. It's very pricey. Okay, good. Good insight there. Okay, so let's continue with the content for today. We talked about record tourism in Medellin in 2025. We also talked about the safety trends in 2025. Homicide rates went up, but petty thefts went down. And we had 145 days with no homicides in 2025, which was kind of like a big headline during the year. Now let's talk about U.S. and Colombia relations, what you need to know. The political climate in Colombia. The U.S. and Colombia remain allies, contrary to some beliefs. But 2025 brought some turbulence. Early in 2025, Colombia initially refused U.S. deportation flights. Remember that in the beginning of the year of 2025? It prompted the U.S. to threaten tariffs and even suspend visa processing in Bogota. A last-minute deal averted a trade war and flights resumed. The episode showed that under the current U.S. administration, immigration and drug policy disputes can flare up, and they have, creating uncertainty for expats. So what was the repercussion to that? Remember that when those deportations started to happen in the United States, there was longer wait lines for foreigners coming into particularly Medellin. We're talking about like 3 or 4 hour waits in line just because kind of like a retaliatory answer to these mass deportations that were happening in the United States, and the little beef that our president had with the U.S. president. And I think that continues to happen. They don't want to facilitate people coming into the country fast. I don't know why. It makes no sense to me, but obviously they have their own reasons. So looking ahead, U.S.-Colombia relations may face renewed turbulence. Policy differences, especially on counter narcotics, means the U.S. could uptick pressure on Colombia. For expats, this mainly means staying aware of any changes, for example, stricter U.S. travel advisories or new Colombia visa rules, which haven't happened. But I'm assuming that if things were to have gone the way that they were going between Trump and Petro before Petro called and quelled the tension between U.S. and Colombia, something could have happened where policies for visas could have changed here. But it seems like they have kissed and made up, and they're going to continue selling their drugs. Everybody knows that the CIA has been involved in the cocaine trade since the 90s when it was discovered, and I'm sure they continue to do it. On top of that, they were in Afghanistan for 20 years growing and overseeing heroin, so they're in the drug trade. Believe it or not, I'm not an idiot, even though some people may think I am. I can read between the lines. The U.S. government does not want cocaine to go away from going into the United States. That's what they want the public to see. That's what they want you to know. But I remember there was a war on drugs since I've been alive. I'm 45 years old now. There's been a war on drugs, and I think they stopped it now because they realized that they can't lie to the public anymore. There is no war on drugs. There was never an intention to stop feeding the United States with more and more drugs for their purposes. Sorry for that rant, but it's an obvious thing. It's like, man, the United States is the most medicated country in the world, and who sells that? So for 2025, as long as tensions and relations continue the way they're going right now, we're going to see what Donald Trump has invited the Colombian president Petro over to the White House for a meeting after their positive call over the phone. And it looks like things are going to be good. So we hope that we continue on in that direction, because we don't care. We just want the governments to do their thing and make their money and do what they need to do. And then us as regular people, as people that invest in properties, that have businesses out here, even if you don't invest in a property and don't have a business out here, but you're coming from another country to live here, you're contributing to the economy. You may be even paying taxes here. It doesn't matter if you do invest or start a business or not. Somehow, some way, shape, or form, you are contributing to the economy, and that's good. And that's what we want. And as a business owner here myself, that's what I want. I want people to come down here, enjoy the city, contribute to the economy, help out the people that they can help out, and live a good life, right? I mean, that's what I think the goal in life is, and have some sort of positive impact on society, right? So if everything continues the way it's going, I think things will be okay, especially for visa rules and all that for 2026. I think we'll be on the same trajectory that we've been going for the last 15 years. On top of that, the president of Colombia is going to be out in August. We're going to have a new president. The person leading the polls right now is actually Cepeda, which is the successor to Petro. So it's still a left-leaning person that is leading the polls, but we don't know. We're not going to know until the elections come up in March. Is it March or April? Either way, we're not going to know until then. But I honestly believe that no matter who gets elected next and whoever's in charge next, the country's going to continue to progress, and it's going to continue on this trajectory of prosperity for the last 15 years since I've been here. Sombra says Medellin is definitely not the same. So aren't many Latin American countries since the creation of social media. Well, it's probably because it's called evolution. I mean, it would suck to be the same as it was before the internet, right? I'm lucky enough to have lived in a world where there was no internet and now there is internet, and I choose internet over no internet any time of the day, any time of the week. Tellman says, I am tired of USA. I will be in Medellin soon for a few weeks. I checked apartment prices in Medellin. It's kind of pricey now. Which city do you recommend after Medellin in Colombia? Yeah, if you're a budget traveler, try cities like Pereira, Manizales, even Cali, Colombia, even Bogota. Bogota is even, there could be more expensive places in Bogota and the ritzy areas, but it's such a big city that you can find like really cool places like Chapinero that are actually cheaper than places in El Poblado. So yeah, for budget travelers, yes, it's gotten more expensive, and there are a ton of cities in Colombia to discover. For example, Bucaramanga. Bucaramanga is like a hidden gem. Test out Bucaramanga. Test out different cities that are for the budget travelers. For the people that are not the budget travelers, Medellin is still affordable. In El Poblado, you can rent an apartment for $1,500, $2,000 on Airbnb, furnished. That looks amazing. I'm not talking like a dump. That looks amazing. If you want something that looks more normal, regular, you don't need something fancy or upgraded. You could even find $1,000 a month for like a studio apartment, or $1,000 a month on Airbnb, not going through the local routes. Those are two different markets. You can find really nice apartments in Belén, in Envigado, in Laureles, La Floresta, even downtown Medellin for the more adventurous people. Yeah. Buck Travel says, are you paisa? Son más paisa que la arepa, hombre. I'm a paisa now. By birth, I was born in Bogota, but never lived there, so I don't even have like the Bogota accent. And I lived in the United States for 24 years, and now I've lived here for 15 years, so I consider myself an honorary paisa, or an adopted paisa, because I've been here for so long. And I kind of have the accent, the paisa accent, and I can fool a lot of people. Like I'll get into an Uber and I'll talk to them in Spanish, and most of them will think that I'm from here. But then there'll be the guys that are like the older heads. They'll be like, where are you from? Like, you're not from here, are you? I'm like, damn it. But it's okay. I like being how I am. Yabba Dabba Doo, what's up, Andrew, he says. What's up, Yabba Dabba Doo? Hope you're having a good day. Are La Ceja and Rio Negro budget living? Yeah, both of those places are budget living because they are smaller towns, less desirable for tourism, so there's not a lot of demand for Airbnbs as like the city here. So yeah, definitely look at La Ceja, Rio Negro, which is about an hour away. La Ceja is further away from that than an hour, but they are nice towns, small towns. If you like that rural, small town vibe, very cool place. I only like to go visit there on weekends, maybe rent out an Airbnb, like a cabin, because it does get colder. So it's nice to have like the fire and, you know, the fireplace, having the family there, making food, watching movies. But I wouldn't be able to do that every day. I would die. What's up, 916 Hellas? What's up? Los Naranjos, any thoughts? I'm only family with El Tesoro. I'm only familiar with El Tesoro. Yeah, Los Naranjos is nice. Yeah, it's a great neighborhood. Definitely desirable for sure. No place is cheap like before, so if you ever plan on retiring comfortably, don't spend and get your income up. That's the best advice ever. I like Barranquilla as a hub to get Santa Marta, Santa Marta and Cartagena. I do too. It's just too hot for me. It's like way too hot. Like you take a shower and you're already sweating when you get out. Buck says your English is better than 99% of Americans. Well, as a kid, I was a nerd. I used to love to read a lot when I was a kid. It was kind of my escape because I was kind of introverted, shy as a child, and I used to read a lot, and that was my escape. And then I discovered video games as a teenager. Zombie, what's up? Hope you're having a good day. Did I miss anybody else's questions here? I think I'm good. If you have the question, make sure to put it in there. But let's talk about Medellin real estate trends in 2025. Property values climbing in 2026. Medellin's housing market is on the rise, with prices outpacing most of Colombia's big cities. In late 2024, Medellin saw a 10.4% increase in new housing prices, one of the highest jumps in the country. That was in 2024. The momentum carried into 2025, with estimates of 5% year over year price growth in early 2025. That's across the whole city, Medellin. Obviously, there are micro economies, like, for example, El Poblado. And even within El Poblado, there's 22 neighborhoods. So a neighborhood like Provenza and Los Balsos and Manila and even Astorga, those jumped probably by 20 to 30% increase in prices, whereas the entire city jumped about 6.5% and as an entirety. And if you can imagine, that's pretty darn good appreciation. So if you did invest before, congratulations. If you haven't invested, you might be kicking yourself in the butt right now. That's if you have the means. But if you don't have the means, I'm not one of those people. I've never been one of those people that look back and say, man, I wish I would have had money to invest 5 or 10 years ago. No, I look at today. Where can I invest today? Where can I get the biggest bang for my buck? How can I diversify, and how can I get a higher return on investment by either elbow grease, sweat equity, or managing my own properties? Or I started my own property management company in order to increase my own ROI. And now we do it for our clients for a profit. So it's good. So yeah, housing prices went up overall in the entire valley, about 6 to 7% year over year growth in early 2025. The price per square meter hit 4.56 million on average. That's in the entire valley. Again, in El Poblado, it's a lot different. In different areas, same with Laureles. Laureles saw a spike in hubs of Laureles in property values going up. But yeah, it's if you're going to be buying property out here, either be an in-depth person where you do a lot of research and you could figure it out yourself, especially if you speak Spanish. I did. I'm not saying that I figured it out myself, because I have had help with my accountant, my business partners, all working together. So if I was alone, it would have been a daunting task to buy, that first property. Once I had the money to buy the first property and then remodel it, it would have been nearly impossible for me. And even though I had help from locals, even we still made mistakes. So now, having my own real estate company, that's what we help foreigners do, to limit those mistakes, because we've learned from our own mistakes. Charles says top budget is 2K, but I want to something 1400 to 1800. I want you mean to rent near parks, dogs? Would it be better to rent furnished or get bare and get my own furniture? Well, if you're new to the city, you're going to want to do furnished rental to discover the neighborhoods, maybe even for a week. Go, for a couple weeks, or ideally it would be for a month in different neighborhoods. Scope out 3 neighborhoods that are very different from each other, but safe and nice, and stay in those places as long as you can to really figure out, okay, where I want to be. And then once you're in that neighborhood, you start to get to know everybody once you start living there. And the best way to get an apartment is by contacting the owner directly, not going through an agency. An agency, you can get okay deals. I mean, you're way better than obviously on Airbnb, because you're renting an apartment for a whole year on a year-long contract. You're going to jump through hoops, though. Most foreigners won't be able to jump through those hoops just because they have no credit history here. They don't know anybody that could co-sign for them. Those are the hoops that a rental agency will demand of you. So the alternative is to live in an area, start talking to security guards, asking if there's anything for rent in the area, and if they've got the owner's phone number, and then you WhatsApp them and say, hey, how much for this, that, and the other, and then creating a relationship. In Medellin, a lot of business happens here by creating relationships. It's still very old school. People don't trust you until you become their friend. You know how many times I've had coffee with people that are selling their apartment to me? An ungodly amount of times, and I hate it. I hate meetings. Like, for me, it's a waste of time as an American, as an entrepreneur. I want things to happen fast. But that's one of the things that Medellin teaches you, and it's made me a better person. Patience, actually getting to know people and sparking up an actual relationship with them, a friendship, and then doing business with them. It's something hard for a lot of us, especially growing up in the United States where everything's more fast-paced. Near a city like Los Angeles, where I grew up, everything's faster, everything's optimized, everything's safe usually to do business with people, even if you don't know them. But here, that's not the history, and it's a lot more old school. So again, if you want to rent something here and want to get a good deal, live in the neighborhood for a while, talk to security guards from different buildings, look at signs, and if they have a logo for an agency, that's not the one that you want to contact. If they've got another sign, because usually they'll have 2 or 3 or sometimes 5 different signs because they haven't been able to rent it to a local. But usually the orange sign that has no logo is going to be the phone number for the owner, and that's the phone number you want to contact and say, hey, I saw your thing. Obviously, you want to speak in Spanish, at least text in Spanish. But usually that's how I've gotten I still rent. I'm a Charlie Munger fan. If you don't know who Charlie Munger is and you're an investor or an aspiring investor, look him up. He's a very wealthy man. He's worth almost $3 billion. He's 99 years old and still makes YouTube videos sometimes. I just saw a recent one, but he rented for 40 years because the math didn't math to buy a property for himself, for a house. And I'm the same way. I don't need to buy an apartment for myself. I'd rather use that money as an investment, whether it's into another apartment, S&P 500, Bitcoin, that's going to return far better. It's going to have far better returns than me living in it and not having that money. You didn't answer my question, Caesar. I didn't see it. On average, how much cheaper are property prices in Manizales compared to Medellin? I'm assuming just because of Manizales is a smaller city, at least 20%. Don't quote me on that. All you got to do is Google Manizales apartamentos a la venta, and then Medellin apartamentos a la venta. Look at the local prices and compare. That's what I would do if I was looking at Manizales. The owner directly is cool. Thanks. Paint house in Medellin for $2,000 a month is great. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that you could definitely find that for sure. If you're planning on buying, buy now. Prices are only going to go up. That's true. They will go up. And there are up and coming neighborhoods. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's go through this content here. Okay, so as I said, in 2025, overall in the entire valley, 2.5 million Colombians living in Medellin, 6.5% on average growth year over year on property prices. Square meter went up to 4.5 million Colombian pesos in the year, which is still low, but in places like El Poblado, that's not the case. That's not what the square meter is, unless it's very, very old and needs a complete gut job. It's going to be closer to 5 million, 6 million per square meter. Hot neighborhoods and foreign buyers. Areas such as El Poblado, Laureles, Envigado, and Sabaneta are magnets for both locals and foreign buyers. The city's reputation as a retirement and digital nomad haven means more foreign investors snatching up condos. Often paying in cash. Most of the foreigners that are coming down here have to pay in cash because you can't get a Colombian loan really without, Colombian credit history. They have a very similar system, a point system similar to the FICO score in the United States here as well. So if you don't have Colombian credit history, you're not going to, when you apply for a mortgage, they're going to be like, what the heck is this? It's the same thing with renting a local apartment through a local agency. They're going to do a credit check and they're going to be like, you have no credit here. My parents who lived in the United States for 40 years, they are Colombian, native Colombians. They got here a year and a half ago. They tried to go through an agency because they have pension money coming through. So they have like a paycheck that comes through all the time. There's no doubt they're getting that money. They still didn't qualify for like an $800 or it was like a $600 2-bedroom apartment here in El Poblado. They didn't qualify through a local agency. That, for me, that was absurd. Luckily, they got a hold of the owner and they made a deal with the owner directly. They made a contract. His son is a lawyer and we have our lawyer, so they made their little 1-year contract agreement. Went to the notary, sign it, notarize, boom, they're in the apartment and they're on their 2nd year now of that apartment. So it can be done. My parents, who are in their 60s, did it. If you're younger, even if you don't speak Spanish, you can do it. Okay, so we're talking about the neighborhoods that blew up. Sabaneta is blowing up. Sabaneta for locals is blowing up and for foreigners wanting to retire there. If you're going to be buying a property in Sabaneta for rental purposes, just note that the return on investment and the amount of money that you can charge in Sabaneta is going to be distinctly different than what you can charge for in the Manhattan of Medellin, which is near Provenza, in El Poblado, near Provenza. Not everywhere in El Poblado, but near Provenza, which is like the waterfront or the beachfront of Medellin. As an analogy, that's the beachfront. The closer you are to the beachfront, the higher you're going to be able to charge. And if you buy a property that's a zoned commercial where you could do daily rentals, you could even make more money. The return on investment obviously is going to come down to what you purchase it at and how much money you're putting into it. So, your overall cost against your gross income. Okay, so Sabaneta has blown up, and we see construction on the hills in Sabaneta going on. It went on all year last year, and it's going to continue this year because there's still a lot of land out there. They have limited where they can build up to on the mountain sides there. So I think that's going to stop it a little bit, but still, there's still a lot of space, a lot of mountainside there. Munger rules. Yeah, I saw that video, by the way. It's AI, but follows his philosophy. Yeah, well, I think they took it from his book, right? I forget the name of the book. But anyway, renting property is usually... So I own a real estate company here, and we sell real estate to foreigners that want to come down here and buy. And I am a firm believer that you don't need to buy a property if you're not going to live in it for more than 15 years. If you're going to be here for 15 years and live in it for 15 years, great, buy it. The only other reason you should be buying the property is as an investment. It's going to make money for you. It's going to be an asset. But if you're going to be living here full time, you can rent, and it'll probably be cheaper than buying a property because some of you are retirees, and who knows if you're going to live 15 years or more in, just being blunt, number one. So renting could make more sense. And this is the type of consultation that we do with our clients. It's like, okay, why do you want to buy? Oh, I want to live in it. Okay, is this a smart decision? Are you going to be living in it for 3 months when you're down here visiting? And then for the other months, you're going to be renting it. And at the end of the year, you're going to make some profit, or you're going to break even and you're going to cash in on appreciation when you sell in 2 to 5 years. Okay, that sounds like a plan. But no, I want to live in it full time. Okay, you want to live in it and maybe sell it later, or if it's just a lifestyle play, I get it. But I tend to be smart with clients, meaning that I give them my opinion, and if they say nope, I still want to buy it. Okay, great, it's your money, your decision. But I try to be as methodical as possible. Same with my team at Medellin Living. Okay, Chaz, it's all relative. The ROI on rent is cheaper in Sabaneta, but the property will be cheaper to purchase. Exactly. Yes. So your ROI could be high in Sabaneta. The problem with Sabaneta, it will be not the rental rate or the amount of money you can rent for, which will be lower. Yeah, obviously it's a smaller city, less demand, but the problem could also come down to occupancy, because since there is less demand and less tourism in Sabaneta, the occupancy rate might be lower, so you might have to lower your property price or your rental price even more, and diminishing that ROI. I've seen that for a couple of our clients that have come to us. We haven't sold a property in Sabaneta yet because we focus on Medellin, Laureles, and some Envigado, but mostly Laureles and Medellin. But I've had a couple clients that have bought in Sabaneta, and they come to us and they're like, okay, I want to buy something else in Envigado or in Medellin, in Laureles or in El Poblado. And then I ask them about their Sabaneta rental, and it's been a common theme where, because the demand is less and the occupancy rate is lower, and they don't hire agency and they don't manage it themselves, and they don't know marketing, and they hire a real estate property management company that doesn't do marketing for them and just charges them 15%, occupancy rates like 60% and below. So in order to increase occupancy rate, you have to lower the price so that your property gets chosen over the others in Sabaneta. So, it's kind of a double-edged sword, but it could be a good investment. Again, it comes down to what you buy it at. I agree with that for sure. All right, so we were talking about the neighborhoods. The city's reputation as a retirement and digital nomad haven means more foreign investors snatching up condos. Exactly, yes. Medellin is now Colombia's #2 city for international visitors. 1 million foreign visitors in 2024, second to Bogota. And in 2025, it became the #1 city for international visitors. This influx has tightened the rental markets in estratos 5 to 6 zones, pushing rents upward and boosting property values. So for early investors in Medellin, this has been amazing for us. Obviously, our properties are worth way more than what we bought them for 5 to 10 years ago. And for new investors, this means that you just have to be a savvy or a savvy buyer. Work with someone that knows the market, work with a savvy or an intelligent, or not intelligent, because I think a lot of them are intelligent, but someone that knows the real estate market very well, whether it's a real estate agent, a real estate company like ourselves, Medellin Living, and having an attorney that is also savvy, that knows the market, that knows the rules for rentals out here, and is abreast to all of the changes and how strict they're going to be with rules this year, because there's no new rules that are coming up for Airbnbs. They're just tightening up on the requirements and making sure that people do meet the requirements, because those rules have always been in place, but they just haven't enforced them. So they're going to be enforcing them a lot more this year for Airbnbs. So let's get to the Airbnb boom and crackdown. The short-term rental market exploded in Medellin. Medellin now has 14,000 plus active Airbnb listings with 62% occupancy across the board in the entirety of Medellin, from the north to south, east to west, all of Medellin, over 14,000 Airbnbs, and the occupancy rate is about 62%. That means that wherever you buy your apartment, if you just put it up on Airbnb and leave it alone, as long as it's priced fairly, obviously do your due diligence when you do price your Airbnb, the probability of it being occupied 60% of the time is very high, because the demand is there. There's a demand for Airbnb, so it will be occupied 60% of the time, even if you do zero marketing. I'm not average, and I don't want my clients to be average either. So my Airbnbs are about a 90% occupancy rate. And if you're not getting 90% occupancy on yourself, it's probably because you have a property management company that does no marketing, that doesn't push your property, that doesn't make videos, that doesn't do Facebook posts, that doesn't put some money into advertising like pay-per-click either on Google or Facebook or Instagram marketing for your property to get it at over 60%. I think a good occupancy rate would be 80%. A great occupancy rate is 90% plus, right? If you could get someone in there for a year and you're at 100% occupancy, that's even better. But it always depends on what you want to do and how much money you want to make. I'm more of the person that I'd rather have someone in there for a whole year, make a little less monthly, but my ROI is still 15%, instead of having to do daily rentals and get a 20% increase or 25% ROI. Less work, consistent money, having someone in my property consistently in there is better for me. Okay, so let's talk about investors. Investors have flooded in to buy apartments for Airbnb income. However, city authorities are eyeing stricter regulations on daily rentals. So the people that are being affected with these stricter regulations, or cracking down on making sure that people are adhering to these regulations, are the people that are doing daily rentals. The new mayor announced plans to enforce tourism lodging licenses for Airbnb bookings, Airbnb and bookings hosts amid complaints of party flats and a few high-profile crimes in rentals. Airbnb won't be banned, so don't worry about that. It's not going to be banned outright, but expect enforcement of existing laws. Colombia requires registration with the National Tourism Board and for short-term properties, and potential fines for illegal rentals, meaning that if you're in a residential building and you're doing daily rentals to fill gaps, if someone finds out, you can be fined and even banned from platforms like Airbnb. I'm assuming. I don't know, because all of our clients and all of our properties are compliant with all of the rules. Basically, if you're doing Airbnb here, you have to register with the tourism board and you have to follow the rules that the government put in place. Like, for example, if you have to have an exit plan for emergencies, and when a guest comes in, you have to register them and fill out a form that they have, and then turn it into the register to the tourism board. Just things like that. Having a fire extinguisher, depending on how many square meters your apartment is, you might need 2 or 3 or 4. All of that you need to comply with. And if someone checks and you don't comply with that, you could be fined. Obviously, if it's like a small thing like, oh, you don't have a fire extinguisher, it could be a lesser fine or maybe just a warning, and then they're going to check up on you again. But either way, you've got to comply with these rules that have been in place for years already, but they're now cracking down. Andre says, it's really easy to live in Colombia as a retired EU citizen with a pension over 1.5 thousand monthly. Good night, evening. It's 2:00 over there. What's up, Andres? Watching you from Latvia. Yeah, if you have 1,500 a month, you could retire in Colombia. In Medellin, you're going to be in a middle-class neighborhood, probably like Laureles or Envigado. You can easily find an apartment in Envigado to rent. You're going to want to be here for a while to learn the ropes and get good deals. Don't expect to never be having been in Medellin, and then you fly into Medellin and find a really great deal right away. Because again, like I mentioned before, Colombia is very old school. There's an old school way of doing business here where people want to meet you. They want to have coffee with you. They want to know you as a person and then give you a good deal or do business with you at all. So it's one of those things that you have to do. Becoming says, what's up? First time watching you live. You're doing great stuff promoting Medellin. Thank you. I appreciate it. I try to promote the best things of the city. I wouldn't live here for going on 16 years now if it were a negative place to be. I'm fortunate enough to make enough money and have businesses where I can work remotely and live in another city if I wanted to, in all of Latin America and maybe most parts of Europe and other places in the world. But I chose Medellin and Colombia because I was born here, first of all, discovered Medellin, fell in love with it, and now this is my home, my hub. Even though I do like to travel and stuff, this is my hub, and now I have a kid here, so life is great here. But the moment that it becomes a place for people not to live in, I'll be gone. Trust me. What's up, Dan Bath? Heading to Envigado for the month of February. Can't wait. Yeah, Envigado is awesome. I love Envigado. It's a potential for me to live in the future. Right now, as I have my business and I love living in El Poblado, I have my routine. I've got the coffee shops, the co-working spaces that I work at. This is my preferred place, but Envigado is on my radar to live in. Peter says, same time zone as New York City. Yeah, that's a big plus, especially if you've got businesses that cater to the United States or you are a remote worker that works for companies in the United States. Being in the same time zone or a very similar time zone is great. Bro, I'm in Cali and please be quiet. Jackman says he's in Cali and please be quiet. Okay, I'll let you sleep. Okay, so to remind everyone, Airbnb is not going away in 2026. The government's going to do a stricter job or be stricter on enforcing the laws, especially for daily rentals, making sure that residential buildings aren't being affected by people coming here, for daily or week or less than 30-day rentals, because they don't want that. So lifestyle with a $3,000 to $5,000 budget. Okay, so I've always said that if you come to Medellin, come down with $2,000 budget at least. If you come down with $2,000 a month in Medellin, you'll be good. Even in 2026, you should be good. You're not going to be living the high-end luxury lifestyle of Medellin, living in the Beverly Hills neighborhoods like El Tesoro, Los Balsos, Las Palmas, and in beautiful apartments, brand new apartments, or remodeled apartments. It's probably not going to happen. Unless if you get a really, really good deal somehow. Again, going the old school ways and making friends and making contacts, it's possible. But if you're new to the city, $2,000 could be good. living in areas like Envigado, Sabaneta, even Laureles, Belén, and other neighborhoods that are safe and in the city. But in 2026, if you want to have a good lifestyle, you should have between $3,000 to $5,000 a month. High quality of life, and it's relatively low cost compared to major cities in the United States. One big reason Americans are flocking to Medellin is because your dollar goes further here. Even though things have gotten more expensive since when I got here in 2010, your dollar still goes far here because I obviously have companies, I have businesses where we make dollars, and I know that the dollar goes farther than what it would go in the United States and other countries. Medellin's cost of living is roughly 60% lower than in the United States on average, and even more if you're in major cities like Miami, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Many expats live comfortably on $1,500 to $2,000 a month. With a budget of $3,000 to $5,000, you'll be living large. So you could easily live on $1,500 to $2,000 a month here, and you'll live like the middle class or lower middle class income level neighborhoods and lifestyle, which is still great and probably an upgrade to what you could live in the United States with that type of budget. Definitely an upgrade because you'll have disposable income. But if you have $3,000 to $5,000, then you are part of the 20% of Colombians that make over $3,000 a month. Because according to the stats that I looked up for another video that I did, only 20% of Colombians in Medellin make over $3,000 a month, and over $5,000 a month, it's an even smaller percentage. So if you do make $3,000 to $5,000 plus, you are kind of like in the upper echelon of the people that live here, and you'll be living in neighborhoods like El Tesoro, the very nice neighborhoods in El Poblado, like San Lucas. There's so many good neighborhoods here, nice neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods with apartment buildings that the apartments are remodeled or they have amenities like pools, gym. For example, I live in an apartment. I pay about $850 a month. It's a 3-bedroom apartment, about over 1,000 square feet. And I have a pool. I've got a gym. I've got a sauna. I've got a basketball court. I've got a kids playground, a dog or pet zone. And I love it. I love this. I love this building. I love the neighborhood. It's a flat area of El Poblado. I walk every single day. I get my steps in, 7,000 to 10,000. I go to the gym, which is walking distance. If you've seen my videos, you know my routine, and I love it. It's great. So let's say I had a $2,000 budget and I'm paying $850 a month for this apartment. It could be stretched a little thin, especially if you like to go out and eat out and do stuff. It could be stretched thin. But if you have $3,000 to $5,000, this apartment would be like great for you. So it just depends on your budget. But yeah, it's definitely doable. With $1,500 a month, it's doable to live comfortably here, but you're even more comfortable and part of the 20% of Colombians if you're making over $3,000 or $5,000. Let's talk about healthcare. So we talked about the cost of living, like rental, the rents here. Private health insurance is top notch in Colombia. It's one of the best in Latin America. And it costs a fraction of the price of the United States. Most of you that watched my videos and watch other channels about living in Colombia know that the healthcare system in Colombia, in many aspects, is superior to that of the United States and other countries around the world that are developed countries, where here with a paying for private health insurance, a middle-aged person like in your 40s with no health issues or health background, I guess, you could be paying $1,500 to $1,700 a year for the top-notch health insurance that covers you on a lot of stuff. You get an app. You can set your appointments. Very low wait times. You talk to doctors. You're not just visiting with nurses, and then the doctor rushes in and rushes back out. Here, the system is that you meet the doctor. He talks to you. He sits at the computer after he checks you up. And goes over things with you. Sometimes you even have access to him via WhatsApp where you could ask him questions. That's our pediatrician. We have her on WhatsApp. It's insane. It's a world of a difference, and it is refreshing to a lot of people when they come down here, or mind blowing for a lot of people that come down here, as to the quality of the facility, the quality in the doctors and nurses, and also the price. Of course, it's way cheaper. I heard Chile and Brazil is the best medical care. Yeah, I heard that too. I heard that Chile and Brazil have amazing medical stuff, but then again, you'd have to live in Chile or Brazil, which isn't bad if that's what you want. But most people that watch my channel want to somehow live in Medellin. But yeah, Medellin has great clinics. We've been to them a lot since we've had the baby, because every time he gets sick, I remember when I grew up in the United States, going to the emergency room, you'd have to be like almost on your deathbed. Like there were times when we were very sick, never went to the doctor because it was so expensive. Same with my little brother. I don't remember going to the doctor. Here, the kid sneezes, we're going to the doctor. I've gone to the emergency room at least 3 to 4 times in a year and a half of having the baby. And we were always treated like almost royalty when we go over there because we've got private health insurance. And the wait times are very low. The people are super kind. The nurses, the doctors, they're like, I don't know, it's just more human, it feels. Yeah, so it's crazy how amazing it is. But every time he gets sick, like for example, if he's got a cough, we take him to the respiratory clinic where they put a mask on him, and they call it nebulization, where it clears out his lungs. They do massages so that he spits out all the mucus, and literally overnight, he's basically better. It's insane. I've never heard of that until I had a kid and had that here. It's pretty interesting. And for Colombians, it's normal. Oh, here's a little tidbit. So when I get sick here, when I get a cold, like a common cold, as soon as I start getting the symptoms, I go to the pharmacy. I don't know if this is legal or not, but I go to the pharmacy and I say, hey, I need you to inject me with whatever it is that you inject people with so that I could cure this sickness real quick. And literally I don't know what it is. My baby's mom is a nurse, so she knows. She told me what it is. I don't know what it is in English or in Spanish. I don't care. It just works. Literally at the pharmacy, pull down your pants, give you that the shot in your butt, and literally the next day you're fucking golden. It's something unheard of. In the United States, you would probably go to jail if you were a pharmacy that did that. But here, it's a normal thing for Colombians to do. It's like, oh yeah, just go get the shot and get better. Stop being sick. Who gets sick? Yeah. Barry says, I heard that every foreigner gets robbed once in Colombia. Wow, that's I don't know who told you that. But I've been here for 15 years, going on 16 years, never have been robbed in Colombia. But again, I'm not an idiot. I'm not saying that everybody that gets robbed here is an idiot. Most people that get robbed in Colombia are Colombians, obviously, because it's the population. So if you're a foreigner and you're scared of being robbed, then yes, don't come to Colombia, because it would suck to live paranoid. I always tell people that. And they almost feel that I'm being rude about it. I'm like, no, bro, I'm not trying to sell you on something if you're scared. It's like, if you're scared of spiders, don't go into that cave, right? It's the same thing. If you're scared of being robbed, or you're paranoid, you've never been to a developing country, start with like Cancun, and stay at a resort. Start at Playa del Carmen, or, somewhere in Mexico where it's closer to the U.S. It feels more like the U.S. Those are Americanized cities, maybe even like the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, something like that, where you are, where you can wean into traveling outside of your country, and then move down south. Start going, maybe even El Salvador. El Salvador is super safe, and then come down to Colombia, because after having experiences in cities like Guadalajara, Playa del Carmen, even Cancun, etc., you'll get the Latin culture, and your spider senses go up, I guess, when it comes to danger. More street smart. You can acquire that. It's something that's learned. It's not something that you're born with, and you can do that. So once you come down to Medellin, or Colombia as a whole, you'll feel more comfortable and your head won't be on a swivel. Because for one, I would not want to travel that way. I would not want to live that way. So I always tell people, if you're scared about being robbed, if you've never been to another country, start somewhere more closer to the United States, similar to the United States, but still Latin America, and then move down, and visit for a week or two, etc. Ron says he's been here 4 times, has never been robbed. Wow, nice. People come here wearing gold chains and stuff, flashy stuff, just be chill and blend in. Yeah, especially if you're new to traveling. If you've never been out of the country, don't come to Colombia with like a $40,000 gold chain and a $50,000 Rolex and go to the bar to meet locals and get drunk and then walk home. That's an idiot stuff, right? If you're scared, stay home with your mom. Yeah. Or go to church. I mean, there's a lot of churches to go to. By the way, what's up, neighbor? Hey, what's up? Ruel, are you back in Medellin or what? Man, we got to hang out. Football playoffs are up. We got to do a barbecue and watch football. Perfect. Pedal says, what's the approximate annual cost of health insurance for seniors? I believe my parents were quoted for both of them about $3,000 a year. Maybe closer to $4,000 now with inflation, because that was last year. So maybe $3,000 to $4,000 a year. And again, it depends on your medical history and stuff like that. But if you need a quote, contact Angela Berrio. If you do join the Medellin Masterclass, you will have contact or access to her. If you do a paid consultation with me, I'll give you all my contacts as well. Or you could do the research and find her. She's on Instagram. She's on Facebook. Her name is Angela. If you go into some of the Facebook expat forums, she's very active on there too. Do your research, find her yourself. If you want me to do it for you, just pay me. Is Trump going to ruin Colombia? I don't know. I don't think so. I doubt it. Why are you yelling at me, first of all, Barry? But no, he's not going to ruin Colombia. He's got enough on his hands with ruining your country. I'll probably be there around March. Okay, sounds good. Andres says, getting a driver's license really easy in Colombia? Yeah, it is. All you got to do is pay. If I move with my 20-year-old daughter, yeah, it's very easy. All you got to do is pay to get a driver's license. It's good for 10 years. T-Mac, what's up? No one in Colombia is worried about Trump? Yeah, we're not. Yeah, it's not even a thing. I don't know. It seems like the United States is more worried about politics than their own pocketbook sometimes, people there. I say turn off the TV. Turn his TV off. So what you get for $5,000 a month? To put it bluntly, $5,000 a month in Medellin buys you an upper class lifestyle. There's still lifestyles that are higher than that here, because there are people that make a lot of money here, more than $5,000 a month. But if you do have $5,000 a month in Medellin, you're in the upper class. You're in the upper class. You could even afford to go and pay the yearly fee for the Rodeo Country Club, where they have the 18-hole golf course in Medellin, and they have amenities in that country club, etc. It's about $6,000 to $7,000 a year to join that. It's $6,000 to $7,000 the first year, and then going on year after year, it's $3,000 a year to join the country club there. You won't be able to join the country club in San Lucas. That one's $75,000 a year, and that's for people like the mayor, the presidents, ex-presidents, narcos, I'm assuming, and or very rich business people here that can pay $75,000 a year, and it's invite only. You can only be invited into that country club. But the Rodeo Country Club is also very upper class, but it's only $6,000, about $6,000 to join the first year, and then $3,000 a year after that, and you don't need to be invited there. I did the tour. I'll probably be joining later on this year because I'm getting back into golf. I haven't played golf in almost 20 years now. I used to be pretty good back in the day. I even took lessons as a kid. My parents started to make money, and my dad put me in lessons, and it was the greatest thing that he did. Fell in love with the sport. I love golf, and I'll be getting back into it this year, probably mid-year once I'm done with the new business that I'm starting here in Medellin this year. Daily expenses for an expat couple might total about $2,500 a month for a very comfortable lifestyle. So if you're a couple here, $25,000 a month, or $2,500 a month, you could have a very comfortable lifestyle here. Obviously, if you're over that at $5,000 a month, you're golden out here. If you have $5,000 a month, buy an apartment from Andrew. Thanks, Roll. I live near Baltimore. Medellin is safer. Yeah, I think Baltimore is just one of those more dangerous cities in the United States, unfortunately. But you can't really compare Medellin to Baltimore. It's not apples to apples. Obviously, it's more apples to oranges. But Medellin, as I've stated before, has gotten safer. And this year, we've had less petty theft. 2025 was less petty theft than 2024. So they have done a better job of that. I pay $10,000 a month for SDSU season football. $10,000 for SDSU season football basketball tickets and NIL. I don't know how to golf, but I should take it up. Well, not only golf, but they've got paddle courts at the Rodeo. It's the Rodeo Country Club, by the way, near the Price Mart over there. It's awesome, man. You have to just go for a tour. It is awesome. I love it. It's older. Like the facilities are older, but they've got a sauna, they got massage room, they've got a barber on site, a hairstylist for women, a beauty salon, nails, do pedicure, manicure there for men and women. They even have like shoe cleaner, like a shoe locker. Like if you're playing golf, you could change your shoes, and by the time you're done, your sneakers are white and clean, and then you leave, and then they hold your golf shoe. I mean, it's just a whole different level of comfort and lifestyle that I didn't know because, like I said, when I first got here, I was deported from the United States. So I got here in 2010. I had no money. The country club for $6,000 entry fee for the first year was beyond what I was just trying to make $6,000, let alone be able to pay that. But now it's something that I would like to do also for the kid because they've got kid stuff, family stuff. My parents would be allowed to go in there with me because they're part of my family. It's just the benefits outweigh how much it costs for me at this point in my life. Before, I couldn't have done it, and I wouldn't even dream. Maybe I did dream about doing it. That's why I have it now because I've manifested it into my life. But before, it would be a lot more different or more difficult. Yeah, South America is becoming safer than some U.S. cities. Yeah, I think U.S. Is so big. You can't compare, a country like the United States with Colombia because Colombia has like the same amount of people that California does, like 45 million or 50 million. So it's you can't really compare it, but yeah, I get it. Why do Colombians in Florida complain about Colombia a lot? For the same reasons why Americans in Colombia complain about America. If you're an immigrant in a country, you're usually leaving or escaping the country for some reason. The people that buy properties from me down here and that join my Medellin Masterclass for relocation, they'll complain about the United States because they're escaping something that they don't like about the country. Same with any immigrant that leaves their country for a better life in another country, they're going to have things to complain about. I don't know. It's pretty logical, man. I don't understand the questions from you, Barry. Yeah, South America is becoming safer. Yes, I read that already. Where is this at? Where is this live coming from? I'm coming live and direct from Medellin, Colombia. I live in El Poblado. Ruel says, poor Colombians complain about Colombia. 52% of cash buyers over 1 million homes in South Florida are Colombians. Wow. Okay, I did not know that. Must be a big upgrade moving from Compton, California to Medellin. Yeah, if you're living in Compton, living in Medellin with the same budget that you're living in Compton with, you'll probably be middle class to upper middle class in Medellin, Colombia. Is AK Joel still working with you? Yeah, we co-own Medellin Living, and he is the agent at Medellin Living along with my brother, Francisco. So when you do fill out that form and you do want to work with us to buy a property out here, you'll be working with either AK or Francisco, my brother. I just focus on the marketing for Medellin Living. I don't do any of the sales. But if you do want to work with me directly, let's say with a consultation, I don't do free consultations anymore because the demand has gone up. So I do paid consultations. I do have a free Zoom call every month, though. And the next one's going to be the first Tuesday of February. If you want to sign up for that, there is a link in the description below for that. Bro, why do South Americans always say South America is unbeatable? I don't know. I don't know why. It's probably because it's their home. I mean, usually people have pride from where they come from and live. I mean, I don't know. Use your brain on these questions. Ask yourself the question before asking me the question. What are some signs that neighborhood might ban Airbnb? So first of all, no neighborhood will be banning Airbnb, first of all. What is the risk in Envigado? I'm worried of not being able to rent it out when I'm not there. So you'll always be able to rent it out on Airbnb. It'll just depend on how long you'll be able to rent it out. If it's a residential building, most residential buildings will only allow you to rent the apartment out monthly, not daily. If you buy a property that's zoned commercial so that you can do daily rentals, you'll be able to rent it out any amount of time that you want, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. But most people will be, most apartments, 95% of all of the apartments in Medellin are residentially zoned, meaning that you can only rent for 30 days or more. And then it'll come down to the HOA. So when you buy a property out here, make sure that you have a good real estate agent and a good attorney, real estate attorney, that will ask for the propiedad horizontal, which is basically the HOA regulations. Find out what their restrictions are, because the HOA may only allow you to rent for a year. And then you bought a property and you're like, oh man, I thought I was going to be able to rent at least monthly, but according to the HOA, I can only rent it out for a whole year. So make sure to do your due diligence, work with people that are professional and that know what they're doing, and that cater to people, to investors, basically. But yeah, there's not going to be any neighborhoods banning Airbnb. They're just going to be stricter on these regulations, because right now there are a lot of properties on Airbnb in residential buildings that should only rent for 30 days that are doing less than 30 days to fill gaps. They're doing it undercover, maybe paying off the security guards so that they don't tell on them to the HOA or to the city, things like that, because it's still, corruption is rampant in Colombia as a whole. And even on that micro level, there is some corruption. So those people that are doing that illegally, they're going to be cracking down, investigating more, making sure that the Airbnbs are complying with the regulations of the city and HOA rules, etc. So I hope that makes sense. If I have $5,000 in US dollars, can I buy a property from you? What do you mean, 5,000? You want to buy a property for $5,000? I don't sell in those areas where you can buy a property for $5,000. Minimum investment for me is about $150,000. But $5,000 to buy a property, you could find a property here for $5,000. I don't know. I would never want to buy that property or be in that neighborhood. But hey, to each his own. I stayed at an Airbnb there by the country club. Believe it was in Envigado. Yeah, so the country club here is kind of on the border of Envigado and Medellin. I'm going to get back into rollerblading. Yeah, rollerblading is huge here in Medellin. I think it's because the city allows for it because of the roads, especially in the evening. They do ciclovia. I think it's on Wednesday nights where they shut down a big part of the major road or the major highway, and people rollerblade and bike and jog and walk along that, and it's in the evening, which is awesome. But yeah, rollerblading is huge in Colombia as a whole. It's like a national sport almost. Yeah, there's a group that does rollerblading kind of like that, where they get a ton of people to rollerblade across the city. It's really cool to see. What's up? Walk says, thanks. So if 95% are residential, sounds like 95% are 30-day minimums. Exactly. Most of them are 30-day minimums. The ones that are zoned commercial that can do daily rentals are going to be more expensive as well. That's something to note. Your return on investment, the reason why people buy the daily rental approved apartments, like the commercially zoned apartments, is because they want something more turnkey. They want something that maybe the building itself will do the property management, has their cleaners on site. It's almost like a hotel, but it's actually an apartment. So I hope that makes sense. You were right, Andrew. Carulla has decent cocktails. I know, isn't that amazing? The Carulla on Avenida Poblado has like a cocktail section. I haven't been there in a few months, but you just reminded me I should go down there and go shopping. Although I've cut my drinking a lot in the last year. I used to drink pretty much every weekend, for football with friends. Now I've cut it down to just drinking one time a month just because I've gotten into being more healthy. And obviously with the kid, it's harder to get away also on the weekends. But on top of that, I feel so much better. Like just drinking once a month is so much better than when I was drinking once a weekend, every weekend. Just feel healthier. Andres says your masterclass is more oriented for Medellin. Yes, absolutely. It's a Medellin masterclass. For Colombia or Bogota, or anywhere else in Colombia, you're going to have to reach out to like the local expat groups to see if there's anyone that does like consultations or anything for that city. I don't think there's a master class for any other city other than Medellin and the one that we have. I never drink, but I was buying groceries and went and tried one. Nice. I had a friend that caught an STD during his first week in Cali, Colombia. Wow. That sucks for him. How you cut drinking, make a master class about it. Well, it's easy in Medellin, and especially with my lifestyle, it's very easy to cut that. Yeah, it's very easy. Yeah, Barry is a troll. Barry, I'm just going to time you out because it seems like you are a useless idiot. There we go. For now. If you apologize, and you can come back. Okay, so economic changes. Minimum wage in Colombia changed, and it went up 23%. Minimum wage hike. Colombia enacted a hefty 23% minimum wage increase for 2026. Now, Colombia's minimum wage is 1.750 million Colombian pesos per month, which is about, let me see, what is that in the exchange rate today? Sorry, let me Google that. COP to USD. I just want to be accurate with what it is today. About $471, which is about $100 more than it was last year. So it went up almost $100 more for minimum wage. This matters because visa income requirements are tied to minimum wage. The threshold jumped accordingly in 2026. For instance, a retirement or pensionado visa or a digital nomad visa now requires income equal to 3 times the minimum wage, which means that it will be 5,250,000 Colombian pesos per month, which is roughly $1,400, where it was at about $1,100 last year. So you have to show $1,400 this year. And the minimum investment for a property jumped in 2026 to 612 million Colombian pesos, roughly, which is about $163,000 at today's exchange rate, where last year it was closer to $130,000. So it's like a $30,000 jump from what it was last year for the minimum investment to what it is this year at $163,000. I've been to Colombia several times. I feel like I could never drive a car there. It's so crazy how much is a dedicated driver. So I didn't drive for like the first 10 years of living in Medellin. I've been driving for 5 years, and I didn't drive for that exact reason. Well, not for that exact reason. I didn't drive for 2 reasons. Number one was because I saw the driving and I was like, yeah, I don't want to drive here. It looks crazy. And number 2, I just never needed to because I do work remotely. And when I did have an office, it was literally in the same neighborhood that I lived in. So I walk everywhere and I use the public transportation, and Uber is dirt cheap out here. I mean, I think the most I'll spend on an Uber on average is like $4, if that. Maybe it's usually like $2 to $4, because the distances are shorter too that I travel. So yeah, what do you call it? So when I did get a car here, my perspective changed because I actually am a good driver. I've never been in a car accident in 5 years. I've never even been close to a car accident. I've been, I follow the rules and I know the rules, and I know that other people don't know the rules. So I'm more of a defensive driver, and I'll get aggressive when I need to go and merge or whatever, and people let you go. So it's not as crazy as you think. It only seems crazy because the people that you get in a car with, like an Uber or a taxi driver, they're crazy drivers, and because they're in a rush because they need to turn over this ride so that they can make more money and get another ride, right? So they're usually driving faster, more of a rush, but sometimes you get good drivers. Thanks for all the free gems. Hit the like button for the algorithm. Thanks, NYC Crypto, NY Crypto Investor. Yes, remember to hit the like button, guys, if you are watching the live version. If you are watching the recorded version, there is a comment section below. You can do that. You can comment there and I'll reply. I will get my resident visa or my R visa in August. I will be sticking around for a long time. Having a child in Colombia expedited my residency status and citizenship path. Yeah, that's a good way. Have a baby. Blended says Uber for the win. Yeah, Uber is the winner out here. I mean, it's such a great service. And I use the Uber Comfort. I don't even, when it's rush hour and I need to get somewhere fast and I'm by myself, I use the Uber Now, or like Uber, it's called, in Spanish, it's called Uber Ya. I am a priority member, so like my Ubers get here quickly and they're pretty cheap, even though I do pay like the yearly or the monthly fee or whatever it is to be like the priority person. But I typically will use the Uber Comforts because they're bigger. They always, you could tell them what temperature you want in the car, what radio station, all. I don't really do that, but I just like the fact that they have air conditioning, bigger. I'm a taller person, so I like the bigger leg room. And I'm usually going with like my brother who's even taller than me, or Manuela and the baby, or my parents. So the Uber Comfort is awesome. So there's really no need for a car, especially if you don't, if you're not commuting anywhere. I do love the car though, because I do like to go to small towns on weekends and take the family. That's been the best, man. Being able to get away, go to a town for an hour away, even just for lunch or for dinner, and then coming back is awesome because you're literally out of the city in an hour in a small town. They could be having live concert, live music in their town square. You could be eating at a restaurant out there and then coming back or staying overnight has been super fun. And it's something that I can't imagine myself not having a car now that I have it. Even though I don't even use it. I only use it for those type of things, or whenever I need to carry something big, or like if I'm going to the Costco or the Price Mart here, I'll take the car because I don't want to take an Uber with all the groceries and stuff. Okay, so that's the minimum wage increase, obviously affecting visas, 23% hike on everything. Now let's talk about risks and challenges out here, something to look out for. Good news, in 2025, inflation was down 13% compared to 2022. Inflation for 2025 was recorded at 5.1%, which is down from the average like 8% inflation over year. So it's down like by 3%, but the target is 3% for the current administration and just economists globally in Medellin or in Colombia as a whole. It's a 3% target. We were at 5% last year, but it's on a downward trend. Inflation has been going down, which is good for Colombians. Also for Colombians, the exchange rate has gone down. The Colombian peso has gained on the US dollar. So for Colombians, it is great. For expats, for people from the United States that rely and have a fixed income, that could be detrimental because, whenever the dollar goes down in value against the peso, that means you're going to be paying more for things, or you're just going to have to restrict yourself from some luxuries, right? Because it didn't go down a ton. It went down. I think it's at 3.8 right now. Let me see. What is it? $1 to the peso is 3,700. So it has gone down from, it was at around 4,000. It was over 4,000 per $1, and it's at 3,700. So it has gone down quite a bit. But I presume that by sometime this year, it'll bounce back. But even if it doesn't, I remember when I got here, it was at 1,700 for $1. So as long as it never goes down below 1,700 per $1, I'm living in heaven in Medellin. But I get it. For some people, it could be detrimental because you are on a fixed income. But for me, it just means make more money. Wow, that's the lowest it's been in a while. 3,700. Yeah, it's gone down a lot. It's gone down a lot. It would be funny if Andrew was coming live from Orlando this whole time. My videos were all a green screen of Medellin. Yeah, I wish I could be in the United States at times. I wish I could visit, but I can't. I'm interested in your buddy Nemo's investment opportunity you talked about in your channel. He sold out. He did open up for new shares. If you want, you can email me at medellinbuzzandrew@gmail.com and I'll get you in contact with Nemo. I don't know if he has any shares available now. He did open up for a couple new ones. I don't know if he's sold out since then. That was like a couple months ago that he told me that. But there are other opportunities opening up this year for that type of investment. For me, the dollar going down has affected me big time. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, if you're a freelancer in Colombia making US dollars, the exchange rate going down definitely affects people. T-Mac, for a big city, Medellin seems small. You seem to always bump into people you know. I chatted with Andrew's parents at Santa Fe and ended up bumping up into people from Help Colombia at a charity event. Yeah, it is a small city. You know, even though there's 2.5 million people, it's like you always run into people, especially if you're like around the same social circles or you're like-minded and do similar things. You'll run into people all the time. I remember one time I exchanged at $1 to 2,300. I think that was like in 2014. Yeah. So it's been lower and people got by. I think no matter what the exchange rate, I'll be fine. Do a lot of your clients have remote U.S. jobs? A lot of my clients are older than me. They're older than 45 years old. So they have investments, they have properties, they have passive investments that give them money. Some of them are even retired from either the U.S. Army, Navy, or whatever it is, but they're veterans, so they get some sort of income from that. And on top of that, a lot of them are entrepreneurs, so they have businesses actively that make them money where they don't have to physically be at the business in the United States. Some of them have made money through crypto investments. So there's a lot of people. Most of the clients that come down here and buy a property, it's not their first property that they're buying. They have multiple properties in the United States and other Latin American countries. It's not like a first-time home buyer that's coming down here. I wouldn't expect that either. My target audience are people that have enough money that this is more of a lifestyle investment, that they're buying their property out here. And that's what 2026 is about, I think, because 2025 was definitely about that. Everybody that brought, pretty much 95% of our clients that bought properties in Medellin last year were buying for lifestyle purposes. They weren't really caring about the return on investment. Even though some of them are renting the property out while they're not here, it's more of a lifestyle play to be able to have an apartment because they visit Medellin every single year for a few months. And then when they're away, they rent it out. And maybe at the end of the year, they'll break even or just negative just a little bit. Or if they're lucky, make some money. But they have investments in businesses in other countries, and they don't really care about making a ton of money on their investment here because it's a lifestyle investment. They like being in the city. They like visiting. They like living here part-time. A couple of them are living here full-time in their apartments. And then there's been that 5% that are not even living in Medellin. They came down, bought a property for ROI purposes only, did a lot of research. We helped them find their perfect investment property, and now we manage their property for them, and they make a return. But yeah, 2026 is more of the year of I think the lifestyle investor in Medellin. It's growing to be that way. I think a lot of people in the United States that have money enough to buy properties in other countries are looking at Medellin and are interested in diversifying their portfolio for appreciation purposes in the future. Obviously, it's still an investment. It's still an appreciating asset, but mostly because they want to be in Medellin. They like the city. They love the neighborhood that they want to buy in. They love the lifestyle. They love the weather. They love the people. I think that's the trend that we're going for. I like Medellin. You really don't need a car unless you're going outside Medellin. Yeah, exactly. I rented a Ford Escape. That's literally what I have, and went from Medellin to Bogota. I have a 2010 Ford Escape, and it's perfect. It's like, I never run the risk of it being stolen, first of all. And second of all, it's just like a workhorse. It's a beast. We are starting a U.S. military nonprofit to help support Colombian charities that help kids. Awesome, T-Mac. Yeah, guys, reach out to T-Mac if you want. You can email me at medellinbuzzandrew@gmail.com if you want to schedule a consultation. There's a link below as well. And T-Mac will let me know if he wants me to. I'll introduce you if T-Mac wants it, and if you are a veteran or if you want to help and get to know T-Mac. T-Mac is a member of the Medellin Masterclass, one of the earlier members too, and he's been living here full time and loving his life. Michael says the U.S. has lost over 10% of its value, or the U.S. dollar has lost 10% of its value on the international market in the last 12 months. Yeah, you can give out my info to veterans. Okay, T-Mac, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, unfortunately, the U.S. is going through a recession right now, I believe, even though it's not official. But, you know, I think the U.S. will always bounce back. The U.S. is like the strongest country, one of the strongest countries in the world. I believe in the U.S., and I think it's going to bounce back, and it's going to be great. 2026 is going to be amazing for me, and I hope it's amazing for you. I think it will be. I think globally people are being more positive. Stay away from negative media, negative information. Fill yourself with positivity and love and hope for a better future. And focus on today. What can you do today to be better? Can I get a new construction 2-bedroom apartment in Poblado for $450,000? Yes. I don't even need to read anymore, but I will. Or what is the range on a new buildings? Yes, $450,000 for a brand new apartment will get you a nice brand new apartment at that in the nicest neighborhoods in Medellin. There's a link in the description below, Gregory. Fill it out. I'll help you find those for you. Well, I won't. My team will. And obviously I'll talk to you and we'll analyze them together. But yeah, click that link. You'll be fine. $450,000, you'll find something amazing out here. Yeah, I know because we have a lot of our clients have that price range or that budget for an apartment down here. And we found some spectacular new apartments and even, let's say, lesser, with apartments built within the last 15 years that just look spectacular with amazing views, amenities, walking distance from things to do, etc. Lifestyle is awesome. T-Mac says, I recommend connecting with Andrew either with the masterclass or consultation. He has valuable network in Medellin that has made my life easier. Thanks, T-Mac. I appreciate that. Unsolicited solicitation. I appreciate you, man. Hope you're having a great evening. All right, guys. So that's the information for today. I am doing a weekly live. I will be live again next Friday. We're going to do 52 live sessions every Friday at 6 p.m. Colombia time. I hope you guys found something valuable of this. If anything, at least positive vibes. I wish you guys a great night and a great week next week, and I'll see you next Friday. Thanks a lot, guys. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit me up on the links in the description below if you want to do business. Otherwise, next week will be a new one, and tomorrow I'll have a new video for you. I'll see you guys. Cheers. Have a good night.